Good morning, everybody. This is Todd with the Forex Nitty Gritty Insiders Daily Video. Hope you're having a good day today. Hope the market's treating you well. We're getting a little bit more movement here after, seems like a couple of weeks of real flat, non-moving markets. We yesterday looked at the longer-term charts, the daily charts of what's been happening on the various currency pairs. And today I wanted to just spend a few minutes talking about the 1 hour charts, and I want to put onto here to have you look at the average true range, or the ATR, that we sometimes use. So average true range, and what this is looking at is it's taking, and let me get my lines here. So it's taking a range of candles. So let's say that we've got a candle here and we've got the wick there, and then we have a candle here with the wick here. What this indicator does is it takes the range, meaning it looks at the high and the low of this candle, and will ask itself, what is the number of pips in that range between the high and the low? It'll do the same thing for this one. Take the high and take the low and determine the number of pips. And then if this was a candle here, it would take the high and the low. Or if it's a real big candle, even if the body's small, it'll take the high and the low. And it will take these number of pips between this high and this low over a certain period. Now this happens to be down here a 14 period, which means it's going to look back at the last 14 bars. And over the last 14 bars, it's going to take that difference between the high and the low, add it together, and then divide by 14 just to get the average movement there, or the average range. And if we look at this, you can get some pretty interesting information from this. Now, we won't spend a lot of time defining all this, but you can go through. And again, this is an hourly time frame. I'll blow it up just one from here. So if we go back here and we look at this, we can see, pop the board here, that there are certain times where this average true range begins to peak. And you can see it's pretty uniform in where it happens. We can go through and you can see, all these times where this movement is showing the greatest amount of move. You can also see when it's low and there's not a lot of movement. And so this can give you an indication of when that movement is peaking. So here, if we go to the peak here, that's around the 1800 hour. If we go to the peak here, the 20 hour. The peak here, the 19 hour. The peak here, the 18 hour. Peak here, the 20 hour. The peak here, the 21 hour. You can see that this is the 20 hour peak here. That there are certain times of the day where the market is peaking in its movement. Now, remember, it's looking at the last 14, so we could easily see that when it peaks, this means it's starting to slow down. So the hours prior to 18, 19, 20 for the US CAD seem to be the time where you get most of the movement. And so we obviously can use that to our benefit if we know that most of the movement is happening during a certain time. Well, then that might be the time where we want to take advantage of our trading. Now we're sitting here at the 1300 hour. So, and you can see that this ATR is starting to move up. And so the other thing we can do is we can look at, what time do we start to see the average true range begin to move up and give us more movements. So here's 8 o'clock, it starts to move up. Here's 8 o'clock, it starts to move up. 8 o'clock starts to move up. So right as these things start to move up, around the 8 o'clock hour, it looks like, on a lot of these, is where we start to see that bigger movements occur. And you can see right now, we're at the 1300. So the last few hours is where we've seen some of that movement starting to happen. And if we look at the London market, that's during the London market hours and through the opening of the U.S. markets. So remember that that's when things are most active. And so that can give us a sense of what's happening. You can do this with a lot of the pairs, which is going to be very similar in their moves. Let's just kind of go through and see what's happening right now with a lot of these pairs. Now, here is the US CAD. Look how flat things are. Very flat in their movements. And again, we're getting closer to the holiday time, and we're going to see some potentially flat times and some volatile times during this. Here is the US Japanese yen. Pretty flat last couple hours, starting to see some upward movement. Pound dollar, flat. US CAD, flat. Aussie dollar, flat. Starting to roll down here a little bit. And the euro dollar, pretty flat. So on an hourly time frame, we got a lot of flatness going on, which we'll just simply wait for confirmation of some breakouts and whatnot. But look at the ATR as a potential way to identify when the markets are going to get ready to move. So take some time to look at that, and we'll be back tomorrow to look at the markets and answer any questions that might come up. So until then, have a great rest of the day, and we'll talk to you soon.